Good day learners, welcome to this video. Here we are going to discuss the hyperbola, the graph hyperbola. Okay, so I wrote it here, the hyperbolic function y is equal to a over x plus q. Okay, this is a hyperbolic function, and the hyperbola got two asymptotes. You know what you mean by asymptotes, right? Asymptotes are those imaginary lines where graphs never touch. Okay, so hyperbola in grade 10, equation of asymptotes are x is equal to 0 and y is equal to q. These are the two asymptotes. First one is a vertical asymptotes, which is same as y-axis for grade 10. X is equal to 0 is y-axis. Okay, then y is equal to q is the horizontal asymptotes. So these two are representing asymptotes. Clear? And at the same time, this graph got two axes of symmetries. Okay, axes of symmetries are the line which cut the graph symmetrically, and their equations also I will write it here. First one is talking about the axis of symmetry. It's a very important one. First one is y is equal to x plus q is the axis of symmetry with the positive gradient. Then the next one is y is equal to minus x plus q. So these two are the axis of symmetry. So don't forget, it has two asymptotes and two axes of symmetry. Then how do we draw this graph? First you have to draw the asymptotes. Okay, let me draw it here. Like parabola, this one also got a two hyperbola. I will show you both. First you have to draw the asymptotes. Let me draw the vertical asymptotes, which is same as y-axis. That is x is equal to 0 is the equation of y-axis. You all know that. And normally asymptotes are represented by dotted lines. But here asymptote and axis are same. That is why we can go with the normal line. Okay, this is a vertical asymptote, and the horizontal one is go to the y-axis, look at where is q. For example, if q is a number here, then through that point draw the horizontal asymptote. And equation of this one is y is equal to q, horizontal asymptote. Now look at that. These two asymptotes are making four quadrants. This is our first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, and fourth quadrant. Isn't it? Four quadrants are there, same like the quadrants that you studied in trigonometry. Clear? Then where are you going to draw this graph? You have to check the sign of A. This one, sign of A. If sign of A is positive, that is greater than 0, then one part of hyperbola in the first quadrant of asymptotes. I repeat, quadrant of asymptotes, not the axis. Okay, quadrant of asymptotes, and the other part is in the third quadrant, diagonally opposite. Remember, this graph never touch. It is going closer and closer to the asymptotes, but it never touch. So this is how it will look. Okay, if A is positive. And I will show you axis of symmetry also. The one that I see, this one, the one with the positive gradient, when you draw it, this is the line. It has to pass through the point where asymptotes, that is at Q. See? Yeah. Look at this line. This line is dividing the graph symmetrically, isn't it? Then what about this one? The one with the negative one is going like this. Decreasing line, right? See? This line also dividing the graph symmetrically, isn't it? Okay. So this is how the axis of symmetry you have to draw. Okay, let me remove it. We don't need it here. Okay. Alright, so if A is positive, one part in the first quadrant of asymptotes, and the other one is the third quadrant of asymptote, diagonal opposite, first and third. Then what about if A is negative? If a is smaller than 0, means negative. So again you have to draw vertical asymptotes and horizontal asymptote. Sorry, I think I made a mistake. Horizontal asymptote, we have to use dotted lines because it's not axis. So vertical asymptote x is equal to 0 and horizontal asymptote at q, you have to draw it at q. Now since a is negative, one part in the second quadrant, this is how hyperbola will look. Okay, then the next one is in the fourth quadrant. So second and fourth quadrant, you have to draw the hyperbola. Clear? All right, now we are going to talk about domain and range. Domain of hyperbola is, because hyperbola taking all the x values except this asymptote. What is that? 0, isn't it? So all the x values from minus infinity up until infinity, but one of the values you have to exclude, that is 0. Okay, so that is the domain. Then range is all the y values, because you can see that graph is going down. So all the y values from minus infinity up until infinity, but one value is excluded. What is that? Y should not be equal to what? Y should not be equal to q. Clear? All right. Now one more thing I want to say. When you draw this axis of symmetry, for example here, axis of symmetry, the point where that axis of symmetry touch the graph, that those 2 points, we can find the coordinates easily. Of course, when you solve simultaneously, you will get it, but there is a formula that we are using. This point is always square root of a, that is x value, then square root of a plus q is the y value. Okay, for grade 10 I am talking. This is how you can take it, because you are doing a basic you are drawing a basic hyperbola. Then the second point is minus square root of a is the x value, then y value is minus square root of a plus q. A and q, you can get it from the equation. Clear? Similarly, the second hyperbola, that is here, if you draw this decreasing axis of symmetry touches hyperbola, isn't it? Okay, those 2 points also. This point is square root of a, then minus square root of a plus q is the x value and y value of this point. Then what about the point in the second quadrant of asymptote? This point, that is minus square root of a, then square root of a plus q. So just keep it in your mind. This is how we can find those points, the point of intersection of axis of symmetry with hyperbola. All right, so these are the things you have to remember when we talk about hyperbola. All right guys, now let's do some questions, 1 or 2 questions, then we can stop this video. All right. All right, learners, let's do this example. Sketch the graph of f of x is equal to 6 over x plus 2. Determine the equation of axis of symmetry and domain and range. Okay, so guys, look at here. Let me sketch this graph. You can see that a is positive, that is 6, isn't it? Is positive. Let me write the equations of asymptotes first for the sketching purpose. X is equal to 0, then y is equal to, what is in the place of q? That is 2, isn't it? So y is equal to 2. Okay, so I can sketch the graph. Look at here. Let me draw the vertical asymptotes, that is the y-axis. X is equal to 0, and then y is equal to 2. Let me draw the x-axis also, y-axis and the x-axis, where I draw first the asymptote x is equal to 0, then y is equal to 2, that is 1, 2 here, isn't it? Then draw the horizontal line. See? through that point 2 on y-axis. Okay, then look at the value of, the sign of A is positive, agree? So you have to show, you have to draw first part in the first quadrant of asymptote. I hope you see the quadrant. Then second one in the third quadrant, that is the one, third quadrant. Clear? Don't confuse with the x-axis. When you look for the quadrants, only look at the asymptotes. That is, the first one is vertical asymptote, that is the x-axis, and horizontal asymptote, that is the dotted line. Clear? So this is how the graph will look if A is positive. And guys, they want, when you draw, intercepts are there, you have to indicate. Did you see the one intercept, x-intercept there? Okay, so in grade 10 you always have x-intercept. That x-intercept you have to calculate. You know how to find x-intercept. X-intercept, how do you get it? Put y is equal to 0 and then solve for x. So f of x is y. So let me write the equation in terms of y. Y is equal to 6 over x plus 2. Then y is equal to 0 means 0 is equal to 6 over x plus 2. Is it clear? Okay, then we can solve it. Send it 2 to the left hand side, that is minus 2, because you are sending a term. Sign will change. 6 over x. You are solving for x, but x is at the denominator, so you have to raise it into numerator. How? Just send to the left hand side, that is minus 2 times x is equal to 6. Therefore, divide both sides by minus 2, you can find the value of x, that is x is equal to negative 3. So we got the x-intercept negative 3. So we are done drawing, sketching the graph. Now what is the question? Determine the equation of axis of symmetry. You know that the axis of symmetry, two of them are there. First one is y is equal to x plus q, that is x plus 2. The next one is y is equal to minus x plus q, that is minus x plus 2. One is increasing axis of symmetry, other one is decreasing. So these two are axis of symmetry. Clear? Symmetry. Then next one is domain and range. I will show you domain. Domain is same for all the hyperbola. What is domain? All the x values from minus infinity to infinity. You can see that the graph is going to the left. That arrow is showing that. So all the x values from minus infinity to plus infinity, where one restriction is there, x should not be equal to 0. One value is excluded. That is domain. Then range. Range is all the y values from minus infinity to infinity. Can go with the interval notation where one value is excluded. What is that? Y should not be equal to 2. So this is how we do this question. Is it clear? Let's do one more question, then after that we can close this video. Alright, now example number 2. Sketch the graph of g of x. Another graph, but it is still an hyperbola, that is minus 4 over x minus 2. And determine the equations of axis of symmetry and domain. Guys, I think at this stage you have an idea what to do, so let me do this one quickly. That is, let me know first asymptotes. What are they? X is equal to 0, then y is equal to negative 2, isn't it? Okay, let me draw the axis first. Y-axis, then x-axis. Clear? Let me indicate a vertical asymptote by equation x is equal to 0, that is same as y-axis. Then horizontal asymptotes, where am I going to plot that? Minus 2, it is below x-axis, that is this is minus 1 and this one is minus 2. Agree? Then let me draw horizontal asymptote. Okay, through minus 2. You have to use a ruler to draw. Okay, yes. Guys, did you see the quadrants about asymptotes? This one is the first one, second one, third one, and fourth one. Based on this point, okay. Now we are going to draw. Look at A, because A will tell you where to draw. Okay, so the sign of A. So what is the sign of A? Is negative. Negative means one part in the second quadrant, that is like this. Make sure that it should not touch the asymptotes. The other one in the fourth quadrant. It's diagonal opposite, fourth quadrant. So this is how you have to draw the graph. And did you see the intercept? It has only one intercept, that is the x-intercept, negative side of x-axis. Just find out that one. So how do you find that x-intercept? You know all the graphs, same method. What is that? X-intercept, put y is equal to 0 in the main function, isn't it? So what is y? G of x is y. Let me replace g of x with the 0. Minus 4 over x minus 2. Now solve it. First you have to send a negative 2 to the left hand side. Is going to be positive 2 is equal to minus 4 over x. Sign of minus 2 will be changed. It's going to be positive 2. Now send the x other side. Then only you can find the value of x. Then x is going to multiply. That is 2 times x is equal to negative 4. Now we can find the value of x by dividing. I hope you know this simplification. Just to divide both sides by 2, you can find the value of x. That is x is equal to minus 2. So that is minus 2 you have to indicate there. This is how you have to draw the graph. Now we can do those questions. What is that? Determine the equation of axis of symmetry. That is axis of symmetry. We have two axes of symmetry. We have to find both of them. First one is y is equal to x plus q. That is x, q is what? Negative 2, isn't it? Second one is y is equal to minus x plus q. That is q is negative 2. So these two are the axes of symmetry we have done. Now domain and range. That is very simple. Domain, all the x values from minus infinity to infinity where one value exclude it. What is that? X not equal to 0. Then next one is a range. All the y values from minus infinity to infinity where one value you have to exclude it. What is that? Y should not be equal to negative 2. We can see that the graph is going upwards like this. So it is going to go to positive infinity. This one is going downwards, negative infinity, isn't it? So all the y values you have to consider except what? This minus 2, isn't it? So that's why range is minus infinity to plus infinity. Is it clear now, guys? Okay, guys, I am stopping this video here. Next video we will talk about some questions based on hyperbola. Thank you.